A woman wearing a Muslim full-face veil in Denmark has become the first person to be fined since a controversial new law came into effect there. The ban came into force last Wednesday and outlaws the wearing of full-face veils such as the burqa and the niqab in public. Police also have new powers to instruct women to remove their veils or ask them to leave public spaces. Fines range from €130 for first-time offenders to 10 times that amount, €1,300 in other cases. Muslims currently make up 5% of Denmark's population. Well, protests against the new law have taken place in a number of cities across Denmark. In the capital, hundreds gathered in solidarity with the Muslim community, wearing veils and face masks.
We are pushing people out of our society instead of integrating and making our society able to absorb all kinds of people. We are pushing them out.
The fact that you could actually make a law specifically targeted at some minorities are extremely scary, and if we don't do anything about it now, I don't know where we will end. Like, what will the next law be?
I think we should focus more on trying to understand different cultures than not allowing them to be a part of our society.
Well, there are limitations on wearing full-face veils in public areas in other EU countries too. France was the first nation to impose a full ban in 2011. Other countries, including Spain, the Netherlands and Italy, have introduced partial bans. Outside the EU, Turkey has a partial ban as well, despite it being a Muslim-majority country. We spoke with a Muslim woman affected by the new Danish ban. She thinks it'll only further isolate the community.
They argue that it's going to integrate us into society even more, but the reality is that many of us, we used to go to school, we used to work, and so after this law, we can't go to school, we can't work anymore. It's impossible for us to be a part of society now that we're criminalized and we're actual criminals. So we think it's a part of a bigger picture that includes trying to discriminate against Muslims, take away the rights of Muslims by going after a minority within a minority in the Muslim community, such as the women who choose to wear the niqab. As Muslim women, from Women in Dialogue, we've made the decision that we're going to keep on wearing the niqab. We're not ready to throw everything that we believe in order to fit this restriction that they're trying to make of what a Danish person is. The discrimination and the hate crime against Muslim women is going to rise so much as a result of this law. So not only is it not going to work in accordance to the intentions that it was made for, which was inclusion, but it's also going to further hate crime against Muslim women.
All right, joining us live now from Copenhagen, I'm happy to say, is writer and journalist Ingrid Carlsqvist. You're very welcome, Ingrid. Ingrid, is this not a divisive law that's likely simply to alienate the Muslim community? And in a way, those women who at least are coming out into the community, they will actually retreat into their homes and maybe not make an effort at all in the future?
Well, that's one way to look at it. There is another way to look at it, and it's that we don't want this in our countries. We don't want people who follow a religion like that they don't, that they are not able to dress like normal people. And I think that if you had a referendum in Sweden and you asked people, do you want people to be able to hide their faces? I think like 70% would say, no, we don't want that.
I'm just looking at some of the figures. Only 150 women in Denmark reportedly wear a burqa or niqab. The question is the outcry over this really worth it, giving more attention to this issue than really perhaps would have been garnered to it?
Well, I understand that. Of course I do. Maybe it's not so many, but it's sort of an important question, because when we first started to see women with the hijab, we said, oh, there are not so many. That's not a problem. I mean, I see these women every day and they look at me like I'm a prostitute. And I don't really like that, being looked at a prostitute in my own country. And then we started having these with niqabs and burqas. And now we say, no, there are so few. That's not really a problem. I think it is a problem. If we want to keep our countries Western, like we are a Swedish country, and we really have, all the equality equality between women and men. We've had that all since the Vikings. And I actually don't want it in my country.
There's another issue here as well, isn't there? The right of the state dictating to people what they wear and to prohibit certain types of dress. Does it not, as you say, and your country is one of the most liberal countries in the world, doesn't it set a dangerous precedent?
Well, I do understand that point of view, and I agree with you that it could be really dangerous. What if the state starts, deciding how women could wear, what they could wear? But we are in a very dire situation in Sweden. I mean, we are on the brink of becoming a minority in our own country, and we really need to stand up for what is Swedish, what made Sweden the great country it used to be. And we really need to say to these people, no, if you have come here to live, you have to accept our rules. If you don't want to do that, then you must go back to your own country.
This is going to add fuel to the fire, though, of those saying that there is growing Islamophobia in Europe, that, for instance, people cannot wear the niqab, Muslims, but a nun can wear their religious clothing on the street, for instance. What's the difference?
Well, the difference is that, I mean, we know that nuns do it because they have married God. And Muslim women, first of all, they are not the tradition in Sweden. They are not the indigenous population of Sweden or the Nordic countries. And if they want to come and live here, we have, I don't know, how many nuns can we have in Sweden? 50 or 100, something like that. Of course, that's not a problem because that is Christianity. That's what we've had in this country for 1,000 years. But Islam is a pretty new phenomenon in Sweden. And they are now, I'm sorry to say it, they are all over the place. I don't recognize my country anymore. And we really need to say, no, this is it.
But they will say that it's, Ingrid, they will say it's their country, though, that they have every right to wear and, praise whatever religion they want in what is now their land as well, if they're not affecting other people.
Well, they are affecting other people.
In what way?
They are affecting our society all over the place. I mean, for example, if we just talk about these women in the hijab or the niqab or the burqa, they are looking at me, a Swedish woman in my own country, looking at me like I'm a prostitute. That's not okay. I don't want that anymore. And there are so many other things about. Now we have, the prayers, the call to prayers from some mosques in Sweden. They are totally changing our country. And a lot of Swedes say, no, we don't want that anymore.